with Leonard and Finko, Social Media 2.0. This one is about ads on social media. So we have Allison Barnes and Katie Flanagan with Leonard and Finko, who are going to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about them, and then they're going to go ahead and get started on the presentation.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Allison. I am an account executive at Leonard and Finko Public Relations. We are a full-service public relations firm in Green Bay. And, oh, Katie, you're in presentation view.
Yep.
No, but we can see the next slide.
What do you mean?
No, well, can you do full screen? Anyway, sorry. Thank you.
Keep on.
There we go. Oh, sorry. Anyway, I've been with Leonard and Finko for 4.5 years. Work with a wide variety of clients. Katie and I have particular interest in social media and social media ads.
I'm Katie Flanagan. Been with Leonard and Finko for going on 3 years now. Really interested in social media and learning all about it. It's constantly changing. So I'm really excited to be here to share this with you guys. So let's get into it and hopefully I can share the presentation correctly. Okay. So today we're going to get into quite a lot of different things. So if you could please hold your questions to the end. Want to get as much information to you guys as possible. We have a lot to cover. So we're going to start off with the importance of social media ads, so why you should be doing them. We'll discuss the different platforms and the type of ads that these platforms can provide to you. We'll discuss some things that we recommend you plan ahead for before you even get into the platforms to start doing your advertising. We'll offer some best practices that you can use with your ads, leave you with some takeaways, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So a fact that we'd like to start off with is that social media ads are on the same level as broadcast for the first time ever. Now, the reason why this is really important is because it shows us that social media advertising is reaching just as many people, if not more, than broadcast. So you can do a lot with social media advertising. You don't have to spend a ton of money to do these big glamorous campaigns. You can still hit target audiences using these platforms. So why should you do social media ads? Social media is known for reaching audiences around the world. So with ads, you can hit your specific demographics extremely easily. Advertising on social media allows you to create brand recognition because social media puts your ads out to as many people as possible that fit within your target audience. You have a greater chance of people remembering who you are. There's also a better possibility for people to talk about your brand. So with that sharing, reacting, and commenting, so you get that really good word of mouth. Since we're all in the digital world, social ads are a great way to drive people to your website. So if you have a product to sell or a service that you would like to engage with your audience, social media makes it really easy to showcase those items and have your audience buy products directly from the platform. So a lot of these platforms allow for you to add in shopping features directly without having to have them leave the platform. As many of us can know, marketing budgets can make you want to scream and pull your hair out of your head for how much it's going to cost you. But with social media ads, you get to define the budget that works best for you. You will only be paying for results, so you can say goodbye to the days of hoping that a campaign will provide the results. You know for a fact that if I put this money down, I am going to get the results that I'm looking for. So the first platform that we're going to discuss is the big behemoth of the social media world, which is Facebook. Facebook is a great starting point to start experimenting with social media ads, and we'll get into those options later. The platform provides you with a lot of advertising options, and it's a great place to define your audience. Just some stats behind Facebook. Currently, Facebook has around 300 million daily users. So when you're doing social media advertising on Facebook, not saying that you want to target those 300 million daily users, you do have the option to target those 300 million daily users. Currently, the age demographics on Facebook show an older audience is taking over the platform, with 65 and older individual being the fastest growing group. And this is important to remember for Facebook and for the additional platforms that we discuss, is that knowing what is the primary audience group will help you define which platform you're going to do advertising on. Also on Facebook, user income demographics have shown that 74% have high income users. So if you're looking to sell products, Facebook might be an option for you. Facebook has two different options for advertising. You can do a boosted post or an actual Facebook ad. Boosted posts are what we'd recommend starting out with if you're unsure about advertising on social media. The reason why is because you are using content that you've already created and using content that your audience has already been engaging with. So for boosted posts, what you're going to do is you're going to select a post that your audience has engaged with positively. So look for the ones that has the highest reach, the highest impressions, the most comments, the most shares, something that you know your audience obviously likes. That way you know that your boosted post will have a better idea of it having greater success. Boosted posts are really easy to set up. All you do is you decide which post you're going to do, and then Facebook has this wonderful big blue button that says boost, and then you're going to click it. And then it shows you all the options that you have. It does have limited options though. So that's one of the downsides of boosted posts, is that really the only thing that you get to customize is how much you want to spend, the time range for how long you want that boosted post to run, and then the audience you would like that boosted post to reach. You do not get to decide the objective, so you don't really get to decide the goal for the boosted post, because all it's really trying to do is to push that post out to as many people as it fits within your target audience.
And it's more about, it's more along the lines of age and location demographics, not necessarily interest or job function.
Yeah, and with exactly what Allison said, those options you get to get into the next side of Facebook, which is the actual Facebook ads. So this is where you can create an ad that will extend to users in whatever region and demographic that you decide. What it's going to do is it's going to show up as an advertisement on a user's news feed, but it won't show up on your actual profile. So a boosted post, again, is content you've already created that's already on your Facebook news feed or your Facebook profile, which will stay there. A Facebook ad is something completely different, and it will not be housed on your Facebook page. With Facebook ads, they let you narrow down your target audience as well as decide where you want the ad to be displayed. And we will get into those different ad placements in a little bit. The other great thing with Facebook ads is that you can define the exact objective for your campaign. So if you're looking to drive traffic to your website, if you would like to promote an event that you're doing, or if you're just looking for general brand awareness, you get to decide exactly what you want your objective to be with a Facebook ad. Facebook gives you plenty of options to decide where you want the ad to be placed. Facebook does have an option where it will automatically figure this out for you, but we really recommend to manually decide where your Facebook ad will be displayed. And the reason why is because your ad may not make sense to be displayed in specific areas. So for example, if your type of ad really isn't going to be focusing on stories, or if your audience that you're targeting really doesn't spend a lot of time on stories, you may not want your ad to be shown there because it doesn't really pay to have it there. Facebook and Instagram are connected. So when creating an ad, you can include Instagram as a placement, or if you want to just create an ad for Instagram. Allison will be touching on Instagram, so I'm not going to dive into that. So we'll leave that for her. So Facebook placements include a user's news feed. This will show up like a normal post while they scroll, but they'll be labeled as sponsored or advertisement. Per the law, any advertising done on social media has to be defined as sponsored or advertising. It has to be shown that this is something that money is put behind. Another placement can be shown within stories as either an image or a video. Your ad can be displayed while videos are being played on the app. So when you're watching a bunch of videos, you can have your ad pop up that way. Your ads can also pop up during people's searches on Facebook. So if your ad is similar to what people are searching for, so kind of think of this as Facebook's version of Google, it'll show up that way. Ads are also available to be seen within Facebook Messenger and Messages. There's a little controversy with this. A lot of people aren't a big fan that Facebook ads show up within Messenger, but it's not necessarily a bad thing if you decide to keep it in there. Facebook will even show your ad within articles and applications or sites that Facebook owns. So anything that Facebook currently owns or has profit in, your ad could actually be displayed there as well. So there are 4 different types of Facebook ads that you can choose from. The first one being the single image or video, which is exactly how it sounds. It's a single image or video accompanied by a post or copy. So think of this as just like your regular Facebook posts. This is what those look like. Next would be a carousel image or video, which is where you have 2 or more scrollable images or videos. So they'll be scrolling from the right, or if you're going backwards, from the left. These are great for promoting products or services. Next is the collection or catalog. What it does is it shows a group of items that will open to a full screen while you are still in Facebook. So it's not going to redirect you to another page. It's going to keep you within Facebook, but just expand to a full screen that'll showcase all the products that you want included in this catalog. And then finally, there is a story ad. These ads will show up in the story section of someone's profile, which is at the top in the little bubbles. And again, these can be images or videos.
And just to touch on that quick, the Crate and Barrel ad in this example, that's a collection ad because it's linked to their online catalog. So the price is updated. So if you have an online shop of any sort and you want to sell some products or goods, a collection catalog ad would be a good place to start.
Mm-hmm. So looking behind the scenes of Facebook ads, to create and organize your Facebook ads, you'll be using the Facebook Ads Manager. You can create this as a standalone login, or if you have a business manager, Ads Manager is included in that. In Ads Manager, you'll have a record of all the ads that you have done, which includes, you can do an ad for any page that you are an admin on. So if you are like us, where we are a PR firm, we are admins on multiple pages, so we're allowed to do advertising for whatever page we need to do an advertise for. And it'll be organized all in one spot. So the Ads Manager breaks up your ads into different categories. The first one being the campaign. In this section, what you'll be doing is you're going to set up your objectives. So this is where you'll be defining what is the goal, what do you want to accomplish with this ad. Next would be the ad sets. This is where you set up your budget, your schedule, and then define that audience. And then finally is the ad section. This is the actual visual element of your ad. So this is where you'll be uploading your creative, whether it be the image or the video, and then you'll be adding in your copy. Within Ads Manager, boosted posts and then your published or drafted ads will appear on this page. But when you have a boosted post, they will also appear on the Facebook page's ad center. So just remember that if you're looking at your actual Facebook page, that in the ad center, that's only where boosted posts will appear. But in Ads Manager, you'll both see boosted and actual Facebook ads. And then before we transition into Instagram, I just want to leave you guys with a couple of terms to know. The first being saved versus custom audiences. Saved audiences are audiences that you can create before an ad and have them saved in your Ads Manager for later use. So what's really nice about these is, let's say you're not fully ready to start an ads campaign, but you really want to make sure that you have all the audiences ready to go. You can go in there and define as many audiences as you need to so that they're ready to go for whatever campaign you want to do later on. These can be updated throughout the year, which we would really recommend because audiences do change. And you can have multiple saved audiences to fit different target audiences, to fit specific campaigns that you want to get ready for. Now with custom audiences, these are done while you're making an ad. But the positive side with this is that, let's say you're starting an ad, you came up with a brand new audience, you created that custom audience, you can save that for later on so that you have it there and you can go back to it. Next, we're going to talk about daily versus lifetime budgets. A daily budget is the amount you want to spend per day of an ad campaign. So for example, you can say, I want to spend $5 every day for the 7 days that my ad is running. So this would mean that in total, you're going to be spending $35 for those 7 days that it ran. A lifetime budget is an amount that you want to spend for the full length of the ad when it's running. So for example, you can set your lifetime budget. So let's say it'd be $50 for a 7-day ad campaign. And then Facebook will spend $50 throughout the full 7 days of your campaign, but it's not going to spend more than the budget you set. So it doesn't matter if you set a daily or a lifetime budget. Facebook is only going to spend the total that you said you want to spend, and that's it.
So like Katie mentioned, Facebook owns Instagram. So we'll just touch on this briefly because there's really a lot of crossover with the two. If your business isn't on Instagram, that's fine. You can still place or schedule an Instagram ad. It just won't link to your profile. It'll just kind of make a link to your website instead. There are 1 billion monthly users on Instagram and it's growing. And there's a potential advertising reach of 1.6 billion users. So certainly plenty of potential audience to reach there. There are 5 main types of Instagram ads. Again, very similar to Facebook. You could do a single photo or video, or you could do a collection of them, which would be a carousel ad. Also like Facebook, you could do a collection ad, which would link to some sort of online shop. So as you can see, this mask ad from Athleta at the bottom, you can see there are little dots in a row. That means you can swipe through and see different options that they have in their online shop. So that would be a collection ad, and then a story ad, which you can see here from Smucker's. This is a completely vertical ad. You can swipe up to a link, typically to a website, but maybe again, an online shop, or to read an article in some instances. It's always transparent that this is a sponsored, paid for advertisement. So in both ads, even though they're completely different types, they both say that they're sponsored. And again, all Instagram ads would be created through Facebook Ads Manager. Even if you don't have a Facebook page for your business, you can still use Ads Manager to create Instagram ads.
Next, we'll discuss Twitter. Twitter currently has 186 million daily users. Also, 80% of those users are millennials. So again, keep that in mind for knowing where you want to target your ads. Knowing the major demographic for each platform will be really helpful. Also, ads are viewed more on Twitter than any other leading platform, and that's a statistic that did not come from Twitter. It came from Social Media Today. So that's a really interesting notion or fact to pull away from, is the fact that people are looking at ads more while in the app. With Twitter, promoted content will appear on either a person's profile's home timeline. It'll show up in the search results on Twitter, and then it'll also just pretty much appear wherever it fits your objective and your target audience on the platform. And then also, like I mentioned with Facebook, is that legally all platforms need to define if a post is going to be promoted or advertised. So with Twitter, anything that is promoted, which is their term for sponsored or advertisement, it will always appear in the bottom left-hand corner of the post. So it'll have that little arrow and it'll say promoted. So everybody will know exactly that this has been a promoted post. So like Facebook, Twitter has their own ads manager, which is called Ads Manager. So it's a separate hub from your profile. This is where you're going to be creating and managing your ads. The big difference between Twitter and like Facebook and Instagram ads is the type of ads that they provide. So, because it's very specific to the platform. And we'll get into that right now. So the first type of advertising you can do on Twitter is called a promoted tweet. It's really similar to a boosted post, as in you're gonna be using tweets that already exist on your timeline. So think of this as a way to push out to more people to get that more engagement, to attract more followers. So you can extend that reach out there. Next is a promoted only tweet. And it's really similar to a promoted tweet. So I will not be offended if you get really confused between the two. But a promoted only tweet are tweets that you're only going to show to a specific audience within your ad campaign. So again, promoted tweet will continue to show it to the people that currently follow you. It'll be housed on your profile. It's again, really, really similar to a boosted post. So it's going to just push it out even further. Whereas a promoted only tweet is only going to be showing that content to the specific people that you're targeting. So it's not going to show up on a follower's timeline. It's not going to show up in the search results, only if it fits within your target audience. So you can really define that this content is only made for a specific person. Next would be a promoted video. Really similar to a promoted tweet. It's a video within a promoted tweet, so that you can gain more video views. So think of this as your video views objective. What's also great about this is it'll auto play on the timeline. So when people are scrolling, it'll automatically start playing. Next is a promoted account. This is your way to target people who don't already follow you so that they can begin following you. So think of this as your brand awareness campaign to attract more people. Again, you'll have that little promoted tag right underneath your account so that people know that you are putting more money behind it. Because again, that's for legal reasons.
All right, moving into LinkedIn. LinkedIn's another great option for businesses to get in front of their current and potential audience. LinkedIn is both a B2B and B2C platform. So certainly for any type of business, you could try a LinkedIn ad and find some, reach your objectives, maybe that you couldn't reach through a Facebook or an Instagram ad. About 80% of LinkedIn users are decision makers within a business. So definitely a lot of influence there as well. And there's also 30 million businesses on LinkedIn already. So if you're not there, we highly recommend creating a page. I'm not sure how many of you were on our LinkedIn presentation 2 weeks ago. We'll touch on some of the same things we did last time, but also dive into them a little bit more. So why use LinkedIn ads? Well, it's a perfect opportunity to promote your business, your services, products, but also your expertise. You could, if you have some promotional videos or blogs that you want to promote, all of that can be great, not only LinkedIn content, but content to turn into an ad as well. LinkedIn also now has events. You could promote your event on LinkedIn, as well as job opportunities. Certainly, the majority of LinkedIn users are decision makers, but there is the job search function, and some of the ad opportunities do promote those as well, especially if you do decide to place an ad on LinkedIn and you're maybe not seeing the results that you were hoping for. You could create an ad around that to target potential candidates more than you had been receiving without it. Certainly across all social media platforms, we recommend including some sort of link to your website within your ad, just to continue to drive that traffic, but also conversation. And it's another way for the audience to get to know you, not just by visiting your profile, but learning more on your website as well. So there are 6 types of LinkedIn ads. We will be touching on 4 of them. because the other two are basically grouped in with those these four main types of ads, and those other two would be video ads and the job promotion, but they fall under these categories. So we'll just be touching on these main four. First and foremost is sponsored content. This will look the most like a Facebook ad. It'll appear in the news feed across both mobile and desktop. Some of these ads will only appear while you're logged in through your desktop, but sponsored content will work on both. Again, this could be a single video or photo. It could also be a collection. As an example here with this Facebook for Business ad, you can click through to learn more, another way to share your messaging, but also it's an opportunity if you have a lot of links to share that are very similar. This would be a good option because each of those little boxes could be linked to something different. One thing to know about LinkedIn, if you do place an ad, one thing that's unique compared to the other social media platforms, the ad will appear on your business profile, sharing that it was a paid for ad. So again, this Facebook for Business example, this screenshot is from the Facebook for Business LinkedIn profile page. So it's sponsored content, but it will show up on your business profile under a section that says ads, and it'll appear there for about a year. Next up is sponsored in-mail. This is the most like an email and the longest form paid advertising across social media. As you can see here from this example, it's very long form. It's formal, a lot like a letter or an email. There's a call to action at both the top and the bottom, but there's also an opportunity to include attachments like you would in an email. So this could be some sort of informational brochure or maybe a PDF, advertisement of some sort that you can't quite say in the space allotted, maybe to learn more. Again, the call to action at both the top and the bottom. As this example, try here for free. If you would keep scrolling, it would appear at the bottom as well. One unique thing about sponsored in-mail, it will only appear while the target audience is logged into their LinkedIn on their desktop. So this won't appear while you're logged in through the mobile app. And so just for example, let's say, I'm logged into LinkedIn right now. I'm scrolling through the feed and all of a sudden I get a notification that I have a new message. So I click to see who it is, thinking it's a friend or colleague, some sort of connection. And it's actually sponsored in-mail because they knew that I was actively logged into the app, that they would only send it at that time. So another way to just get in front of the audience face and alerting them, hey, you have a new message, but it's actually an ad. So just another thing that's unique about LinkedIn compared to the other platforms. Next up is text ads. This is strictly an ad that has to have a link tied to it. It must be very short and to the point. The headline has to be under 25 characters and the description has to be under 75. So we recommend if you choose to do text ads, draft about 4 or 5 text options before you log into LinkedIn. That way you kind of have a better idea, okay, am I within these character limits? How can I maybe get creative? Not that you're putting that pressure on yourself while you're logged into the app. Again, it has to be linked to something. So as you can see here, this top one, it links to a report and it calls that out, that it's a free guide. That's great. These other 2 options, they miss the mark a little bit because they don't necessarily make it clear who the ad is from or what you're about to click on. We do recommend using your business logo for the photo portion of a text ad, just again for that transparency, but also a little bit of familiarity that you wouldn't necessarily have room to share within the text ad itself because it's so short. And last but not least are dynamic ads. Again, LinkedIn has some pretty unique ads that you couldn't necessarily create on the other social media platforms because they literally draw your audience into the ad. It's completely customized for each audience member. So as you can see from this example, this is my LinkedIn profile picture. And it's, promoting job opportunities at Facebook, but it also included my name within the ad. I'm the only person that would see this ad, no one else. So if Katie was logged in to LinkedIn and she received this ad, her LinkedIn profile photo would be inserted to the left of the Facebook logo, and it would say, Katie, explore jobs at Facebook that match your skills, see jobs. So it's truly customized for each audience member and no one else will see the ad with your photo in it. This would be a good option for, again, promoting job opportunities, but also maybe linking to your website. Maybe you want to gain more followers on your LinkedIn account. That would work as well, promoting an event as well. So truly, truly unique compared to the other social media platforms. So how do you create an ad once you're on LinkedIn? You know what you want to do. You have your game plan laid out. How do you actually create it? Well, like Facebook Business Manager for creating Facebook and Instagram ads, LinkedIn has LinkedIn Campaign Manager. This can be accessed while logged in through your personal profile. In the upper right-hand corner, there will be a drop-down menu that says work. Click on it, and there will be a little target, an arrow that says advertise. If you click on that, it'll bring you to this page. Again, it's laid out a lot like Facebook Business Manager in that you see the campaign level separated out from the ad set and just viewing the ad itself. This will be your central hub for not only creating the ad, but monitoring it, seeing what kind of comments and interactions it's getting, reading demographics, and then seeing the results when it's all said and done.
So before you create your ad, there are some pieces that you should have ready to go. We really recommend planning as much ahead of time before you get into the platforms as possible. It'll really take away that pressure and anxiety while you're in there of being like, wait, what do I need to know? So the more you can do ahead of time, the better it'll be. So you're gonna wanna know who you wanna target. What are their ages? Where are they located? Do they have general interests that you would like to include in that? So really define that target audience. What's going to be your main objective? What is the goal of your ad? What do you want people to do when they see your ad? When do you want your campaign to run? Do you want it to run this month, next month, this week, a couple days? So really figure out exactly when you want this ad to be appearing. So now we're going to dive into each of these sections a little bit more deeply.
So first and foremost, no one knows your target audience better than your business. But this is also what the information you want to know before you get going on even selecting what platform you want to choose your ad. So let's say your target audience is typically more on Facebook. Well, then it would be better to do a Facebook ad. But if you're trying to reach more of the business community, then you would do a LinkedIn ad. So first ask yourself, where is my audience? And then second of all, what would grab their attention? What would make them interested to take the desired action that I want them to? And part of that is also knowing who they are in the sense of how to target them. So you can be as specific and broad as you'd like, or I should say specific or broad. We always kind of laugh when we're creating Facebook ads or a Instagram ad, because Facebook will actually walk you through, step by step what you need to be looking for and how specifically to target, but they'll also give you a range in how you're doing. And we like to call that the speedometer, because it looks like a car speedometer. And if you're being too specific, it'll put an arrow into a red zone saying, no, you're not going to reach enough people with this ad. But if you're, going to leave it really broad, maybe you want to target individuals. For example, you would say, I want to target people in all of Wisconsin over the age of 18, male or female. Well, that basically encompasses the whole adult population of Wisconsinites. So that's a little too broad for Facebook. So they'll tell you that as well. So you really want to be in this sweet spot in the middle, just right. And they will walk you through how you're doing with that. So like I kind of alluded to, you could say, you can target on age, gender, demographics, like languages spoken or regions. You could target based on not only state, but on the county level, down to zip codes, even if there are certain areas you really want to target. Or let's say your business will deliver goods 30 miles from your location. Well, you could set the location parameters to be, I want to target all individuals living within a 30-mile radius of Green Bay, Wisconsin. That would be that sweet spot we're talking about. So, let's say instead of this broad example of all Wisconsin adults, over the age of 18, well, instead, maybe you want to try targeting adults 18 and older, male and female, who live in Brown, Calumet, and Winnebago counties. That way you're a little bit more specific, but you could also target based on, let's say you work in agriculture. So you want to target individuals who are farmers or who also work in agriculture, to put that ad at the top of their feed and really reach as many interested audience members as possible. Katie, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, just the only thing I can say with target audiences is that you literally have so many different options. So it's really helpful to take the time, truly define who you want to target, who's going to make sense to be targeted with that ad. Because just because you want people to see it doesn't mean that it's going to connect with them. So really take the time, focus on who you want it to be targeted to, because it's also going to help you decide how much money you want to put behind it. So really get the bang for your buck. So really just take the time.
So after you've decided on who you want to target, you want to decide your objective, which is how you will reach those people. Now, these options vary a little bit platform to platform, but we listed the main options that you'll see across all of the platforms. And regardless, all four of them that we're discussing today have awareness ads, consideration ads, and conversion ads. So an awareness ad, this would just be sort of a general get to know our business. Maybe you want to draw more people to your profile, to like your page, or just a general kind of, hi, this is who we are. This is what we do. Here's an informational video about our business. That would be great for an awareness ad. Whereas a consideration ad, this is some sort of action or click within the platform. So maybe you want to drive that traffic to your website, or you want to generate more leads. Or if you have a video view is only counted after 3 seconds. So that's not a lot of time to catch someone's attention and to hold it. So, certainly putting your best foot forward for all of these types of ads. But also, maybe you have an app that you want people to download, or to just more engagement with your post. Some sort of initial action that you want them to take. That would be a consideration ad. Whereas a conversion ad, that's that initial action and click but then something else to go along with it. So that would be not only getting that traffic to your website, but what kind of action do you want them to take once they get to your website? So are they going to be ordering something? Will they be applying for a job? Maybe they provide their contact information if you're generating leads or you want to expand your mailing list. It's kind of dovetailing off of that consideration ad, but it's a little bit something more, and just some sort of decision to go from there.
Next, we'll dive into how long your ad should run. It's extremely important to decide when this ad will be displayed to your audience, because it's really going to define who's actually going to see the content that you're putting out there. Some things to keep in mind when deciding your schedule. Are there major holidays going on in the world? We just got through Thanksgiving and Christmas. Those are two major sales holidays that can affect the type of traffic that is going on social media. So a lot of times those are where you'll have the major brands doing additional advertising during that time. So competition is high. So you may want to avoid that, or at least try to do your advertising before or after those times. Also, to keep in mind of any major events that are going on in the targeted areas that you're trying to focus on, or just generally in the world. We just got through inauguration week. A lot of people's focuses are in different places. So it may not be the best time to put in advertising out there. So you really just want to look at what is going on in the targeted areas that you're trying to reach and see what's going to affect your ad. With that though, when deciding when you want to run your ad, let's say your objective is to increase awareness or sales, drive that traffic to the website because you have a sale going on. Run it either as a precursor to when the sale starts or during the sale to increase that additional actions happening. If you have an event that is coming up, use that as a time to put an ad out there to increase the awareness for that event. Your schedule will also help you define how much budget you would like to put onto that. So for example, if you have $50 that you want to spend on advertising, how much of that $50 is going to be reasonable to spend across a amount of time? It may not be worth it to spend $50 over a course of 30 days. You might want to make that a shorter amount so you can hit as many people as possible. So with talking about the budget, we will go into the budget. So with any social media ad, and doesn't matter what platform you're on, the greatest thing about it is that you get to decide how much you want to spend. There are some parameters on how little you can spend with the time frame you choose, and each platform will say, hey, the budget you picked doesn't really correlate with the time frame. They'll flat out tell you that, hey, this isn't going to work. So you need to adjust either your time frame or your budget. So for example, it's going to be really hard to take $5 and stretch it over 10 days. So even if you want to just test things out, just keep that in mind. But the great thing with that is social media ads, you're not locked into anything. You're not signing a contract saying, I want to spend this much money during this amount of time. If your budget is for $100 and you're like, I don't really think I can spend this anymore, you have the option to go in and stop the ad. You're not going to get penalized for anything. Facebook's not going to say, hey, you can never do this again. You have the option to say, hey, I want to stop this ad, either because you think it's not performing well, or you're saying, wait, we need to move this money to someplace else. So you have the option to go in there and say, hey, I'm done. And then whatever the platforms have already spent, that's what you're going to get charged. So with that being said, you're only going to get charged for whatever the objective or the action that you're wanting your audience to take. So if your objective is traffic to your website, you're only going to get charged for link clicks to your website. If nobody's clicking on it, you're not going to get charged. We want link clicks, so you want to get charged. But Facebook isn't just going to say, hey, you have this much money, I'm just going to spend it regardless of whatever results happen. That's not how that's going to work. You're
Believe it or not, they won't just spend your money because they can.
No, they're not going to do that. And with that too, like all the platforms, they're going to logically spend your money. So they're not going to take your money and just say, hey, we spent it all in one day, so now you're done for the rest of it. They're going to logically take that money, spread it apart, see who is going to be spending the money, are going to be taking the action so that they can charge you correctly. So you may see that your ad isn't getting enough clicks. So you notice that your budget isn't getting spent. Now that's an indicator that, hey, is your ad just not doing well? Do you need to change things? Do you need to change your audience, change your copy? Also too, it may be an indicator that, hey, I totally forgot that this event is going on in that area. That's probably what's affecting people not engaging with my ad. So it could be a bad thing, it could be a good thing. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at your ads. You're focusing on what the budget's getting spent on and the results that come with that.
So here are a few just best practices in terms of initially creating your ad, beginning with the copy. It's best to be short and to the point. You really only have a few words to capture their attention. So make your call to action clear. It's roughly between 20 words and 100 characters, depending on the platform, before that little see more button pops up. So how can you capture someone's attention to want to see more from those initial 20 words? Is it, some kind of, what verbiage can you use to get the action that you're desiring in just that little bit? Also considering what links you'll be including. Let's say you have a link to your homepage. Well, Facebook will give you an opportunity to add a little bit more copy. As you can see here with this example in the Learn More, the shift to safer shopping and the shift to mindful wellness, those are both options because they're linked to something. So you have that space as well to customize and also, capture their attention and explain, what are you about to click on? Where are you going? What will you find when you get there? So really, just be short and to the point, really, getting to the heart of the matter and making your call to action clear.
So now we'll discuss the creative or the visual element to your ad. Typically, the image is the first thing that your audience is going to see. So you want it to catch their eyes first. You want it to be attention grabbing. Your creative shouldn't give everything away that your ad is all about. So the way I like to think about it as your creative should be the lure and your copy is the hook. So they should work together to convince your audience to take the action. With your images, you want to keep them clutter-free. Too much on a small little box. Majority of the people will be looking at this on their phone. So trying to keep it as clear and focused as possible, because if it's too cluttered, it can get really confusing and deter people from actually looking at it. Within text on the creative, you want to keep that to a minimum. Facebook has recently loosened their rules on how much text you can have on it, but across the board, we still like the rule of having 20% text on your image. So the less text, the better, because you do have ad copy that's going to be coming with it. So you just want to keep it simple and to the point. Also, your images and video should fit where the ad is going to be displayed. There are a lot of different placements for all the different platforms. So you really want to make sure that each ad is customized to where it's going to be viewed. So that being said, you're probably going to have multiple versions of the same creative so that it fits appropriately to the platforms and then the placements. And when you do this, you're going to eliminate any unnecessary cutoff so that you don't have to worry about text being cut off, images being cut off, because that's just going to deter people from not wanting to actually look at your ad. With videos, with social media, a lot of people will watch them without the sound because recently a study has been shown that a lot of people watch videos while they're at work. So they usually don't have the sound on them. So when you're creating the video, might be a good idea to include captions or to create your video in a way that doesn't need to have spoken words so that you're just getting the information from just watching what you're seeing. Just a quick little side note, the Canva ad on the far right. We wanted to include this as a bad example because the reason
as much as we love Canva.
Yeah, we love Canva.
We love Canva, and we highly recommend you use it. If you're not, it's a free graphic design platform, particularly for social media graphics. You can customize everything. It's really a great resource, but this ad misses the mark.
Yes, it does. And the reason why is because when you're looking at it, the thumbnail doesn't really give you a reason to click on it. If you didn't have your profile set up to automatically play, I honestly wouldn't be looking at this video. I would just keep on scrolling. And also you can clearly tell that the video doesn't fit the parameters of the space that it's offered. So you want to make sure that when you're creating these videos and creating these images, that you're taking up all the space that you have available to really find a way to attract that attention for your audience.
And last but not least, I know we're getting a little short on time, but analytics are so important for what to know about your ad before you get it started, to monitor while it's running, and then to review after. This will really be your guide for ad performance. Not just understanding what you would typically see from a normal post, but also maybe where you missed the mark and what you can adjust moving forward. I think one of our big pieces of advice is to just try doing an ad, because that's really the only way you're going to learn maybe what worked and what didn't, but also kind of get a ballpark for what to expect in the future. Certainly a great resource, but also, I think Katie would agree with me that you should just give it a try, and that's all you can do. And we believe in you, and it's not as intimidating as it may look.
No.
So with that said, just a brief recap. You know your audience best, so really think hard and long what they might be looking for, but also how you know them best to target them. One size doesn't fit all for your audience, but it also doesn't fit for the size of the ad. Typically with your graphics and whatnot, that encompasses the third point as well. Planning really pays off. It's perfectly okay to lay out all of this ahead of time before you even open up the website. That way it's one less thing you have to think about on the spot, and it's all laid out for you.
And then also to keep your ads to the point. They don't need to be these glorious works of art and creative writing that's fit for a museum and a poetry class. Like, you are trying to convince somebody to take an action. So keep it to the point. You can still have fun with it, but people don't want to read a novel when they're looking at an ad. Also to experiment, take the risk. Like, again, you get to set your own budget. So whatever money you're putting behind that, that's something you decide. You're not filling out a contract and saying this is what we're going to do.
And you can turn the ad off at any time. If it's not performing at all how you hoped it would, and it's just bombing, you can turn it off. There's no rule say that you have to spend that whatever budget you set for it.
Yeah, so it's a great place to experiment, especially with your content. Like social media in general is a great place to experiment with whatever content. So think of that as also with ads. Like, you can try out different things, try out a carousel ad, try out a normal ad, like try out different audiences to target. It's a great place for that. And then again, like Allison said earlier, analytics really do matter. It's really going to help guide you to what's going to work later on. And it's also going to help you realize, hey, there's different audiences that we can target. There's different people that we can expand to. So really focus in on those analytics. And then if anybody has any questions, we are here for you. We know we threw a whole heck of a lot at you. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. Allison, do you want to check the chat if there's any in there?
Oh, sure. Well, Tammy agreed 100%. I think that was in regards to the Canva ad. I think if I saw that pop up at the right time. But she also wants to know, what's a good starting budget?
We talk about this all the time. Because again, there are some parameters on how little you can spend on the platforms, and it's really going to be defined by how long your ad is going to run. So it's kind of back and forth. If you typically, we start some ads with maybe like a week to run, and you can probably put $25 is probably like the smallest we would say to put behind that would actually run that full time. So pretty much $25 would be the minimum. But usually $50 is a good spot to start with. It'll give you at least 14 days to run your ad, and then you can kind of go from there. But it's really just whatever you feel comfortable with, and the parameters of how long it's going to run.
And it's okay to start small.
Yeah. Start with what you know.
Yep. What you're comfortable with.
Yep. And it's with audiences wise too, like to start off with, like if you're just starting advertising, maybe just focus on your immediate area and just like kind of boost your range from there.
Anyone else? Ooh, any good YouTubers to follow? Well, we don't rely on YouTube very much for advice, but certainly social media today is a great option. I'll type that in the chat. A good resource for social media news, but also just general tips and insights on all of these platforms.
And also too, I've done some additional research for this presentation just to make sure I am all up to date, because it does change very often. But the problem I think with like some YouTubers is that because the platforms change so frequently, it's really hard for them sometimes to create a video to show you how to do everything. Because by the time they get it uploaded, it's changed already.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely, like she said, social media today would be a great place to start getting at least the updates of what's going on. Because I just know, like yesterday, Instagram updated some stuff with their analytics again. But also too, because each platform has their own advertising hub, you can just really log in and focus on whatever is available to you in there. And then kind of experiment with that. And then what's really cool is that they all have these little informational bubbles to explain what's changed.
But also you can follow Leonard and Finco.
Yes.
We are constantly, tweeting and sharing and creating vlogs of different insights and experiences that we've had. So certainly feel free to follow on all those platforms as well. What would be some good suggestions with ads to start when it comes to unconventional business that you wouldn't normally associate with social media ads?
Well, if you are you saying like you don't have like a product or service that you offer? Like what would you consider to be an unconventional business?
You can unmute yourself, Jason, if you don't want to type it. I think, go ahead.
Platforms like Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, not so much. You kind of associate those platforms for, say, like for instance, Instagram, fashion, things that you wouldn't really see a roofer on Instagram, you know what I'm saying? Or a plumber on Instagram. Even though these would be valuable platforms to use, what would be some good suggestions as far as ads for businesses like that, like a cab company or a roofing company or a recruiting company, to use those platforms? Not so much Facebook, because Facebook have a little bit more wiggle room, but platforms like Instagram, Snapchat, and some of the ones you would associate with businesses like that.
Sure. Well, one reason we didn't include Snapchat in this presentation, it's really not the biggest bang for your money. You know, certainly if you think about it, it's a very millennial and Gen Z platform. So, you know, they're not in the target market for those types of services yet in life. Now, granted, not to say that Instagram wouldn't be worth it, because you never know who you might reach within that platform. So maybe starting with a story ad, that would be a creative way to get in front of them if you don't necessarily have a whole platform of information to share in terms of, you know, posting regularly on Instagram. I'm just thinking, another one you touched on, like manufacturing, or I think you said maybe like a taxi service or whatnot. You know, those would be great options for LinkedIn advertising, you know, targeting those business travelers. And I mean, the manufacturing community is all over Instagram. I mean, LinkedIn. So, you know, that would be great options to try. So really just kind of, you know, thinking about who is your customer, maybe what age demographic they're in would be a good place to start as well. Katie, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I was going to say that with an unconventional business, like you explained, you actually get, I think, more freedom to experiment with the types of content you want displayed, because people really aren't seeing it. They're so used to seeing the makeup, the clothes, the fitness type stuff. So if you are a taxi cab, you can have a lot of fun with that. Like you can use the story ads to be like, hey, this is what the view looks like from the back of my cab as I'm driving you to your destination. So you can have a lot of fun with it. You can be really creative, because I think people will notice that, hey, this isn't what I normally see through my advertising that I'm getting. So you get to have a lot of fun depending on the type of culture that you're creating for your company. But yeah, there's a lot of opportunities for you. And again, like we've said a couple times already, that it's a great place to experiment. So try it out on Instagram. If you really want to get behind on Snapchat, you can. It's kind of expensive because they're still kind of working that out. The same with TikTok. It's very expensive. But it's also maybe you want to start just creating general content and then going to an advertising campaign. But it's a great place to experiment and try things out.
Well, I just want to say thank you, ladies, for the information. I think we all got a lot out of this. So we are running a little bit behind, so I'm going to thank you all. Thank you for attending. And this was recorded, so the recording will be sent out to everybody that was registered. So thank you, Allison and Katie. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.